Hello everyone! Today, we are going to explore a very important topic in our spiritual lives, 10 habits that make you mentally weak. We will look at these habits through the lens of Buddhism, to better understand how we can improve ourselves and live a more peaceful and balanced life. Buddhism teaches us that the mind is the root of all suffering and happiness. If we don't take care of our minds, we easily become vulnerable and affected by external circumstances. Let's dive in and see how we can overcome these habits to achieve greater mental strength and inner peace. 1. Living in the past. The first habit that many of us fall into is living in the past. Buddhism teaches us that the past is gone. And if we continue to cling to what has already happened, we will never be able to move forward. This burdens our minds, preventing us from experiencing peace. We often dwell on failures, losses, or events that have caused us pain. In Buddhism, this is known as attachment. We cannot change the past, but we can choose how we relate to it. If we let our minds constantly revolve around what has already occurred, we leave no space for growth, joy, or new opportunities. As the Buddha said, live in the present moment, for it is the only time you truly have to live. When we live in the present, our minds become free to experience the fullness of life. 2. Worrying about the future. The second habit is worrying about the future. Buddhism teaches us that the future is yet to come, and worrying about what hasn't happened only causes our minds to become stressed. When we focus too much on things that haven't occurred, we easily fall into fear, anxiety, and a sense of insecurity. But worry, in fact, is the source of suffering. The Buddha taught that worry cannot change the future. In fact, worrying only prevents us from fully living in the present moment, and we miss out on the beautiful things life has to offer. When our minds are dominated by fear of the future, we lose the ability to find peace and contentment. Buddhism encourages us to practice mindfulness to deal with worries. Instead of dwelling on what may or may not happen, we are taught to focus on the present, where peace and clarity can be found. 3. Negative self-acceptance. The third habit is negative self-acceptance. Buddhism teaches us that we should not accept ourselves blindly or passively, but instead, we must understand the true nature of who we are. However, many of us fall into the trap of self-criticism, denying our abilities, or seeing ourselves as failures. This prevents us from growing and living in peace. Buddhism teaches us that true self-acceptance is not about settling for mediocrity or wallowing in self-pity. Rather, it involves understanding our flaws, accepting them with compassion, and striving for improvement. The Buddha said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." When we constantly criticize ourselves or believe we are unworthy of happiness or success, we weaken our mental strength. We begin to think that we are incapable of change or growth. But true self-acceptance in Buddhism is not about resignation. It's about recognizing our potential for transformation and working toward becoming the best version of ourselves. 4. People-pleasing. The fourth habit is trying to please everyone. This is one of the habits that weakens our minds because we constantly worry about how others perceive us and try to make them happy, often at the expense of our own well-being. Buddhism advises us to live according to our true nature, rather than seeking approval from others. In Buddhism, living with mindfulness and right action means acting and living true to ourselves, without letting the opinions of others dominate our minds. When we are always trying to please everyone, we lose our inner freedom and become vulnerable to stress and anxiety. The Buddha taught, "Live true to yourself, not to please others." We are not here to meet everyone else's expectations, but to live authentically and cultivate peace and wisdom within ourselves. 5. Blaming others. The fifth habit is blaming others. When we face difficulties or failures, instead of taking responsibility and learning from those experiences, we often look for someone or something else to blame, the people around us, circumstances, or external factors. This habit not only weakens our mental strength but also hinders our personal growth and spiritual development. Buddhism teaches that everything in life is shaped by our own karma and the causes we have created. The Buddha pointed out that we are the creators of our own karma and circumstances. Blaming others takes away our power and control over our own lives. Instead of blaming others, we should reflect on ourselves to recognize our mistakes and learn from them. This does not mean excessively blaming ourselves, but rather acknowledging that we have the ability to change and improve the situation when we look within. 6. Holding grudges and anger. The sixth habit is holding grudges and harboring anger. Many of us carry resentment and bitterness toward others for past wrongs. This might stem from personal hurt, betrayal, or injustice we have experienced. In Buddhism, holding on to anger is seen as a major obstacle to peace and enlightenment. Anger and grudges poison the mind and prevent us from experiencing true happiness. The Buddha taught that anger is like holding a burning coal with the intention of throwing it at someone else. In reality, it is we who get burned. When we hold on to anger, we allow the past to dictate our present, and we carry the burden of suffering. The longer we hold on to resentment, the heavier it becomes, consuming our energy and peace of mind. Philosophically, Buddhism encourages forgiveness, not for the sake of the person who wronged us, but for our own peace and freedom. When we forgive, we release ourselves from the chains of bitterness and pain. As the Buddha said, holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Letting go of grudges is not about forgetting the wrongs done to us or excusing harmful actions. It is about freeing ourselves from the emotional weight that anger brings. It is a conscious decision to release the past and move forward with a lighter heart. By practicing compassion and understanding, we can break the cycle of anger and resentment and find true peace. 7. Seeking external validation. The seventh habit is seeking constant external validation. In today's world, we are often driven by the need for approval. Whether it's from family, friends, or society, we may seek validation through likes on social media, praise from others, or material success. However, Buddhism teaches us that true peace and happiness come from within, not from the approval of others. The Buddha emphasized self-reliance and inner strength, teaching that our worth is not determined by external circumstances or the opinions of others. When we base our happiness on external validation, we become dependent on external factors, which are often unstable and fleeting. This creates a constant sense of dissatisfaction, as we always need more approval to feel good about ourselves. Buddhism encourages us to cultivate self-compassion and self-acceptance. When we find our sense of worth internally, we no longer need to rely on others for validation. Instead, we recognize our inherent value, regardless of external praise or criticism. The Buddha said, "You are your own master. Who else could be?" By focusing on internal validation and self-acceptance, we free ourselves from the need for constant approval, allowing us to live more authentically and with greater peace. This doesn't mean we should ignore feedback or constructive criticism from others. It simply means that we should not let our sense of self-worth be determined by others' opinions. 8. Avoiding challenges and growth. The eighth habit is avoiding challenges and personal growth. Many people shy away from difficult situations or challenges because they fear failure, discomfort, or pain. In Buddhism, however, we understand that growth comes from facing and embracing challenges. The path to enlightenment is not a comfortable one, but it is through overcoming obstacles that we develop strength, resilience, and wisdom. The Buddha taught that suffering is an inherent part of life, but it is also the catalyst for growth. Instead of avoiding suffering, we are encouraged to face it with mindfulness, equanimity, and an open heart. By doing so, we transform suffering into wisdom and understanding. When we avoid challenges, we stagnate, and our minds remain weak. Moreover, avoiding challenges can lead to complacency and missed opportunities. When we refuse to step outside of our comfort zones, we deny ourselves the chance to learn and evolve. Buddhism teaches that life is a constant journey of self-improvement, and we should embrace challenges as opportunities to deepen our practice and understanding. The key is not to avoid difficulties, but to approach them with the right mindset, viewing them as part of the natural flow of life. The more we face challenges with courage and wisdom, the stronger and more enlightened we become. 9. Clinging to material possessions. The 9th habit is clinging to material possessions. In a world driven by consumerism, many of us place immense value on material things, whether it's a car, a house, or the latest gadgets. We believe that these possessions will bring us happiness, security, or status. However, Buddhism teaches us that attachment to material things is one of the key causes of suffering. The Buddha referred to this attachment as greed or desire, which prevents us from experiencing true peace and contentment. Buddhism emphasizes that material possessions, while necessary for survival, are impermanent and cannot provide lasting happiness. Our attachment to them can lead to anxiety, jealousy, and dissatisfaction, as we constantly crave more or fear losing what we have. This cycle of desire is endless and ultimately leaves us feeling unfulfilled. The Buddha taught the practice of non-attachment or detachment, not to suggest that we should abandon our material possessions altogether, but to understand that our happiness does not depend on them. By cultivating a sense of contentment and appreciation for what we have, we can free ourselves from the constant pursuit of more. In daily life, we can practice mindfulness to become more aware of our attachments. When we feel the urge to acquire something new, we can pause and reflect on whether it is truly necessary for our happiness, or if it is simply another way to feed our desire. True contentment comes not from accumulation, but from within. 10. Living without purpose or meaning. The 10th habit is living without a clear sense of purpose or meaning. Many people go through life without asking themselves the deeper questions: why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? Without a sense of purpose, life can feel like a series of random events, leaving us feeling lost, empty, or disconnected. Buddhism teaches that every individual has the potential for enlightenment, and living with a sense of purpose is essential for spiritual growth. In Buddhist philosophy, life is seen as a journey of self-discovery, where we strive to uncover our true nature and align our actions with our deepest values. The Buddha taught that a meaningful life is one where we cultivate wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. By practicing mindfulness and meditation, we can gain insight into the true nature of reality and live a life that is in harmony with our higher purpose. Without purpose, we may become distracted by fleeting desires or superficial pursuits, seeking temporary pleasure instead of lasting fulfillment. Buddhism encourages us to live with intention, to make every moment meaningful by focusing on what truly matters: compassion, wisdom, and inner peace. This is the path to true happiness and contentment. To find purpose, we must first look within. It is not something that can be given to us externally, but rather something we cultivate through mindfulness and self-awareness. By aligning our actions with our core values, we can create a life that is rich in meaning, one that brings us closer to the peace and joy that the Buddha spoke of. Call to action. If you found this video helpful and inspiring, I encourage you to take a moment to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll join our growing community of like-minded individuals on a journey of spiritual growth and self-discovery. Together, we can explore the teachings of Buddhism and learn how to apply them to our everyday lives. Make sure to click the notification bell so you never miss an update. We post regular content to help guide you on your path toward greater peace, wisdom, and enlightenment. Let's walk this path together. Thank you for watching, and may you find peace, purpose, and happiness in every moment of your life. See you in the next video.